Here we go, here we go. I was starting this painting without you, and then I was like, maybe I'll just record it. That way you guys can see it. My name is Jose Trujillo. I am the world's greatest living artist. Yeah, world's greatest living artist. I got the sniffles today. Yeah, got the sniffles. Got the sniffles. So, I'm doing this. Oh, man, I can't like say two words without like blowing my nose. Excuse me. Excuse me. Oh, man. All right. Here we go. So here's what I'm going to be doing. Check it out. Ooh, mucho bueno. Those of you who haven't gotten my my reference sketches, you're getting them today, okay? The ones that sent me the message, you're getting them today. Just want to let you know. Later in the day, I will send those out. I got space to do that today, so that's what I'm going to be doing. Look at that. Ooh la la. Mucho bueno. And again, this type of painting is loose brush work. It is not meant to offend any great artist. It's meant to empower artists that may be having a hard time making their own creations. And I want to let you know, look, loose brushwork is about letting loose, baby. Letting loose. And unless you let loose, letting loose means so many different things. It doesn't just mean letting loose like letting loose with the brushwork. It means letting loose altogether. It means stop worrying too much about everything. How much paint you're using. Are you wasting your brushes? You almost have to operate from a not caring, almost. I don't even say almost. I think that's the way you should operate personally. From a non-caring point, from a I don't care. Because if you don't care, you can always adjust. You can care a little bit more. But if you care too much, it's kind of hard to adjust. If you care too much, if you're overthinking everything, it's kind of hard to adjust. It's almost easier to adjust if you don't mind at all. If that makes any sense. That's how I like to paint anyways. From you know what, I don't really mind. I just want to make the painting, and we'll see what happens. It's a different approach. It's a different approach, definitely, than what most people are used to. It also requires you to use a lot of paint. And so some artists have a very hard time with that. And I totally understand why. Paint is expensive. There's a lot of things that are happening in loose brushwork. But the most important thing to remember in loose brushwork is to not think about what I just told you. The most important thing is to not really think about any of that. You will adjust accordingly. You'll adjust. Adjusting is something that will happen naturally. You don't even have to think about adjustment. At times we think about adjusting and we're like, oh, okay, what do I have to do here? What do I have to do there? You don't really have to think about it that much, or at all, actually. The body will know how to adjust, your muscle memory. All you really have to do is show up and just start painting, and then the rest will happen by itself. What medium do you use for acrylic painting? Water. Yeah, I use water. I don't use any mediums for acrylic. I just use lots of water. My acrylic is very... I use a lot of paint and I use a lot of water. So I'm constantly you know, playing with the ratios. The moment that it becomes a science, that, you know, like okay, this much water, this much, you kind of stop. You kind of stop creating artwork. This is why I'm not a fan of ratios, and I'm not a fan of when artists sometimes ask me like how much oil do you put in the paints, or I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that because it changes. It's ever changing. It's always changing. If it stays the same, I'm not really creating artwork. At that point, I'm trying to mimic something, or I'm not really creating artwork at that point. So I let it change. If that makes any sense. If it needs to change, it'll change. If I need to adjust, I'll adjust. But I don't want to be so invested in the nitty gritty that I begin to think about that and not create the artwork. So those are all just bells and whistles, guys. At the end of the day, what you want to do is you just want to paint. You just want to paint. At the end of the day, what matters most is that you go into the studio and you paint. Everything else is fluff. It looks like it helps, but I'm going to promise you it doesn't. The only thing that helps is you getting into the studio and painting. It's not about practice, because some people think it's about practice. It's not about practice. It's about momentum. What I teach is not, oh, if you practice, you're going to get good. No, I don't care about getting good. I care about getting momentum. Getting good is not something that I care about. If you practice, you start catching momentum. You start catching fire. You know, and once you do that, you're pretty unstoppable. You start doing all kinds of really cool stuff that you never even thought to do, because it wasn't available. It wasn't in your vicinity. It wasn't in your around your mind, your thoughts. It's because it's now you've now caught momentum. You're now in the flywheel. Once you're in the flywheel, that's where the artwork comes out. The richness of the artwork, the real richness, comes out of that flywheel that I'm talking about, that momentum. And the only thing that can give it to you is showing up to work. I hope that makes any sense. My name is Jose Trujillo. I'm an artist, and if you like this, you're gonna love the stuff that I have available on eBay at auction. The link should be in my profile, and if you don't see the link somewhere there, then shame on me. No, DM me and I'll send you the link. All right, take care, guys. Adios.